Welcome back to another episode of Baywatch. I'm Dina here with my co-hosts, Will and Rachel.
Hello.
We are thrilled to be back discussing our BBs, Hunt and Bryce, and the mystery that is unfurling around us all. We're going to go see a little oracle, but, you know, we got to go to the barracks first, so.
Indeed we do. Our little duo is off to the comitium. So Hunt can pack his wee little duffel bag so that he can sleep over at Bryce's house.
It's a group project.
Yeah, well, they have to stay together at all times now for safety purposes and not any other purposes, literary or sexual. They head to the comitium, which is, I think, like a large skyscraper. It's sort of like the government center. It's also the barracks for the angels, and apparently thousands and thousands of people live and work here. So it's a big old building. They head up to Hunt's sparsely decorated little room. They have some chat. They learn a little bit more about each other. Listen, I'd love to get into all of it, but we just can't.
No, our poor sweetie just doesn't decorate because he's a man.
Yeah.
Was this when they were like, he only has pictures of corpses on his phone? He has 30 pictures on his phone and they're all crime scenes.
It does come to light that that is the case. Yeah. Hunt grabs his stuff. They take the elevators down and emerge into the packed lobby where they feel immense power emanating from across the room. And they discover that Micah and Sandriel are standing there. And eek! And Sandriel has arrived by surprise. We knew she was coming, but she came maybe a little earlier than they were expecting.
Tricky.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is a very unpleasant surprise indeed. And so the whole packed lobby, the whole crowd basically kneels and bows their heads, except for Hunt and Bryce. Bryce can tell that Hunt is sort of paralyzed, scared, but full of rage, evidently.
Yeah, is he being insolent? Like he doesn't want to bow to her?
Oh, I read it as like he's having a kind of moment that Bryce has where you're just kind of paralyzed. You can't move and you don't know what to do. He's like seeing his ex-lover's face. He's seeing his torturer's face. He's just like, whoa.
That would be hard.
Yeah, I think it's maybe both.
Okay.
Yeah. So she can tell that he's kind of wigging out. So she takes out her phone, cranks up the volume, turns around, and kind of angles herself so that she can take a selfie with her and Hunt and then like Sandriel and Micah in the background. And she says, "Thanks for bringing me to see them, shall we?" And then starts dragging Hunt back towards the elevators. And I'm just a little confused of like how this was like
better
supposed to be, like make things less weird.
Oh, I think it's brilliant. I think
like,
she's
why?
like playing the part of the dumb but innocent girl who has no idea what's going on, right? And so she just kind of shakes everybody out of it by being a little bit fucking ridiculous.
What would have happened if she hadn't done that? Would Hunt have gotten in trouble for not bowing? Is that the implication?
Yeah, or Sandra will directly try to talk to him and be like,
I see.
I think she's just like, we got to get out of here, and I'm going to make a little bit of a scene and a distraction. I really liked it. I thought it's
maybe a little bit of that.
great.
I do think she loves the attention too, and that's part of it.
I think she was just doing it for him to get out of there.
Yeah, I hear you, Dina. I get that. I'm still a little bit befuddled, but I mean, I'm happy that it kind of worked for them.
Kind of.
Yeah, kind of. So anyways, they're repairing to the elevator, but not before Micah can come on over, give Bryce the old up down.
Ugh.
Just really devour her image.
Visage.
Her visage. Yeah. As she's trying to get on the elevator, he grabs her elbow and says, "I'd like to out to dinner."
Nice, Michael.
Yeah, that was good.
Thank you. And she says, "Not interested," and walks onto the elevator.
Wow.
I would like at this moment to give a notes app apology / retraction, because if you remember from a few episodes prior,
I do.
When Micah came into the gallery and he was all power and sex and something about whispering in people's ears and blah, 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 blah. And I was like, okay, I love him. He's hot. What if he's secretly the best ever? And who knows what his character arc is going to be. But the second he A, looked her up and down, and B, asked her out directly and grabbed the elbow, I was like, okay, never mind.
Yeah.
We're anti-Micah now.
We're out on Micah.
Yeah, we're out.
But we had to let you express that and just go, oh, interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. And it goes to show that I guess I really don't know what you mean when you both look at me and say, oh, interesting.
You know what else I didn't say at the time because I didn't want to tip you off, but except the fact that he's painfully hot, we don't really hear much about what he looks like, but there is one reference in the book to the fact that he is blonde, I believe. And that if you caught that, then you know he's not. It's not.
I'm sorry. I would have never said anything that I said if I knew he was blonde.
I know.
I'm so sorry, Will. We don't mean you.
Yeah, Will is blonde for those following. But you're like not like a platinum blonde.
No.
No, I'm a real blonde.
Okay. Blonde pride over here. I should mention that I'm also blonde, but we don't hold that against ourselves, do we?
No. Only everybody else.
Right. So anyways, she says, not interested. Hunt observes she'd sounded certain. Not gleeful, not gloating, but firm. And so I really have to applaud Brycey for that one.
Mm-hmm.
I obviously would have been like, yeah, I guess. Like,
I was thinking about this.
I would not.
No one has ever just abruptly asked me out like that in person because we're like now in the age of texting and phones and all that. If someone out of the blue that I didn't really know was like, "Can I take you to dinner?" I would just stammer.
Well, also like the governor,
right? If Ron DeSantis asked me to dinner.
No, this not obviously Ron DeSantis or anybody important, but this happened to me once, and I knew in my back of my head that I wanted to say no, and I found myself being like, "Oh yeah, like just like text me, whatever," like just to get out of the situation.
Yeah.
More kudos to Bryce for actually saying no.
Yeah.
I did actually famously have a couple years ago 3 different women gave me their number unsolicited, which no man has ever done to me, for the record. But.
Right. I remember that. Didn't you like text one of them and say like, "Hey, I'm gay"?
Yeah, because that was the first one, so I was sort of rocked. This is how I know I would not have handled the situation well.
Yeah.
she gave me her number on a piece of paper as I was leaving, and I was like, oh, like I probably said like thank you, and then I left, and I was like, oh, I feel bad, and this poor girl did something kind of brave, I don't know, like to go up and I didn't want to discourage her, so I texted her maybe 15 minutes later, being like, haha, I'm so sorry, that was sweet, but I'm gay, but you should definitely do that again. And her text back was like, oh my God, like, I'm so glad you responded. In the interim between me giving it to it and you texting back, I almost got back with my ex. I was like, it's been 15 minutes. What are you talking about?
She was on a bit of a journey.
She was on a journey. I think she was maybe lit.
I'm really glad that you did that. You're like, it's not you, it's my sexuality. Good for her for shooting her shot.
Yeah. Now we get to an important step in every proto relationship. Every courtship, there comes a time in a male and a female's lives, and hopefully one day a male and a male, or a female and a female, or a they and a them, and any kind of combination, just to be clear.
Someone with wings and someone without wings.
And that's your official Happy Pride announcement.
Happy Pride, yes.
From Faywatch.
Yes. Happy Pride, although you're listening to this episode in July or whatever. It's Pride all the time here at Faywatch.
It really is.
There comes a time in every one person, as Dina said, with wings and one person without wings is courtship, where you must have your first flying.
Mm-hmm. Rule 2B, it must be under duress.
Under duress, yes. And you know what? Actually, this reminds me, because in our previous season, I was kind of bummed by the first flying, because again, that was also under duress per Rule 2B.
Mm-hmm.
And I always want it to be a bit sexier, but it can't be that sexy the first time.
No, the first one can't be.
This is a very low sexy level fly, right. I have to say. Even for a first fly, it's pretty low sex level. Okay. Because, so they got into the elevators, right? They escaped the scene. He's like, all right, well, the only way we're getting out now is we have to fly. Because up on the upper levels of this skyscraper, they have launch balconies that are just railingless things that stick out of this skyscraper into the sky.
Terrifying. I am so afraid of heights. This is terrifying.
Horrible. And they walk out and the dry wind is whipping at them. I would just pass away right there.
I'd pass away. I slept over a friend's house this weekend. They live on the 53rd floor, and closing the blinds was not enough.
Oh my God.
I could barely fall asleep. I was like, I'm gonna fall.
Yeah. I don't dig that. Bryce is freaking out about flying, but they kind of just have to do it. Hunt scoops her up. Low sex levels, right? But I will say one thing that we do get is Bryce's scent filled his senses, washing away the last of the memories of Sandriel's reeking dungeon. So that's good.
That's good. Can I read my favorite line of this whole thing that I think is so important, and I've been dying to talk to you guys about it?
Yes.
She clung to him, tight enough to hurt, and he held her firmly, the duffel strapped across his chest, awkwardly banging against his thigh.
Yes.
Can I just say,
so much.
If you all recall season 1,
yes,
the Cauldron of
Gate.
Yeah. We lost so much sleep wondering who was holding the Cauldron of Soup. What were the logistics of hot Cauldron of Soup flying?
Did any spill on innocent bystanders below?
Exactly. And so, SJM A+ level of detail here. We know where the duffel went. We know what's happening.
It was awkwardly banging against his thigh. No. It's
but
real
I can breathe easy because I know where it is.
Wait, so it's on his thigh?
Well, it's like
across his chest, you know?
Yeah.
But she's in
his arms.
He's carrying her like he scoops under her knees.
Oh, okay, like that.
Yeah.
Not like
No, they're not.
No, she's not straddling him.
That's what I thought.
No, that's not how you fly.
Okay.
That's not how you fly. I think standard flying is the wing haver. Again, gender neutral wing haver puts arms under the other person's knees.
Gender neutral.
Exactly. And then the recipient, the passenger, puts their arms around their neck.
I see. I think I was thinking, I obviously would never in a million years do this, but you know, when you go,
like
what's
skydiving?
It called? Skydiving. and the person's just like on top of you and you're just kind of tandem like that.
What?
You know?
Yeah, but like they had like a little harness.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, they're not harnessed up quite yet.
No, not yet. Inshallah, one day.
Inshallah. I hope we all get to fly like that someday.
Yeah. So anyways, yes, I love the duffel bag. Very important. Oh, Hunt also thanks her for her quick thinking, saving him downstairs.
Which is growth, because he wasn't like, oh my God, you were being stupid. Like, he knew that she was doing it to save him.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
And we see that growth and we acknowledge it.
They land on her roof. Hunt asks her why she rejected Micah. And she says, among other things, it'd be like banging a statue anyways. Hunt smirked. In all fairness, the females who have been with him say otherwise. She's like, okay, whatever. And he's kind of pressing her. And then, you guys care about this like rant she does? I don't really care.
No.
It's like a girl boss thing. I don't need a man. I don't need a powerful veneer.
Right. Like, you all assume I would fall over my knees for him, like blah, blah, blah. Other things matter, Hunt. Yeah, great.
Yeah.
Sure.
Blah, blah, blah. Go girl.
Yeah.
Etc. But we're not gonna. Okay. Cheeky, yakety schmack. And then he goes, you gonna come with me to the Oracle tomorrow or what? And she says, oh no, Athalar. Her purred words ran over his skin and her smile was pure wickedness. Hunt braced himself for whatever was about to come out of her mouth, even as he found himself looking forward to it. Ooh.
Oh, Hunt.
Yeah. So, a little cheeky.
They're like, oh, what are these feelings? What are these thoughts?
Yeah. Ooh, I'd maybe like you.
Hunt's already in it. I feel like Hunt's falling quicker than she is. Hunt's there, baby. Like,
yeah, but there's still sort of denial as a river in Egypt vibes.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
Like, for some reason, I found myself thinking about her underwear. As discussed. Anyways. The next day, time for Hunt to go to the Oracle.
Loved this. Love an Oracle.
Love an Oracle. Like, although we're starting out with, I'm going to say, some anti-room porn. And I know that you guys both received packages again from me. So I want you to bend down. No, I'm just kidding. Because it's a joke. Because the Oracle's black chamber reeked of sulfur and roasted meat. The former from the natural gases arising from the hole in the center of the space, the latter from a pile of bull bones currently smoldering atop the altar against the far wall. I just wanted you guys to think that I sent you stuff that reek of sulfur and roasted meat.
Like some old roasted meat.
Yeah.
The hole in the middle of the thing freaks me out. I'm like, what is that?
Yeah. Who can say? The oracle emerges from the smoke. She's a sphinx, quite rare. There's only a few dozen on the planet. She was so beautiful, Hunt forgot what to do with his body. Mm-hmm. Lioness form, golden wings, face of a beautiful woman.
I did look this up, and this sphinx does adhere to common sphinx features.
Yeah. I mean, I'm only really familiar with the one. But it seems to... Although, was that a male? I guess that one was a male. Like the
Which
Egyptian,
one?
Which one?
Like the Egyptian...
Sphinx?
The Great Sphinx.
Oh, like the
massive stone thing.
Mm.
You know?
Yeah. I once made a terrible model of it in middle school.
That one. I will say the gorilla grip that ancient Egypt had on elementary school curriculums.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Like that was a quarter of elementary school.
And like my soul, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
it was huge.
yeah.
I wouldn't change a thing. I think it's really important.
We've clearly kind of retained a lot of information. That
Well,
we can
I
use.
did.
I definitely had the
Okay.
hieroglyphics phase.
Yeah. That shit was so cool.
It was.
Anyways, Hot Sphinx. Hunt asks her why someone wants Luna's horn, and she says after the smoke does its little smoky thing for a while, she says they want to reopen the Northern Rift, which, as we've discussed, is a portal between worlds. Hunt says that the horn is broken. She says it can be repaired, and the Fae legends to the contrary are wrong. He tries to ask her who's doing this. Once again, she cannot answer that question.
She's like, look, I gave you a lot of information, and we have half a book to get through still, so we can't be solving everything.
But
Right.
how convenient for her to just be like, oh, shoot, it's veiled. I can't
It's
see.
veiled.
I can't see it.
Yes.
Also, props to me for calling as soon as we learned about the Northern Rift that was closed, that it would obviously open up again.
Yeah. I mean, again, in retrospect, it does seem...
Chekhov's Northern Rift.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
But yes, I do give you some props for that.
Thank you.
Some other interesting things here in terms of her interactions with Hunt. She calls him Lord of Lightning, which he
Yeah.
finds unsettling. Also calls him by his given name, Orion Athalar, and he says no one has spoken that name in 200 years. And she later remarks, "You remind me of that which was lost long ago.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I had not realized it might ever appear again." So that's interesting.
I highlighted that with like a, what?
She asks if he wants to know what she sees for him in his future, and he declines.
I love that. In my head, she's just living for the drama. She's like, look, I'm not going to give you the...
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God, she's so gossipy.
I'm not going to save like the world for you, but I will kind of stir some shit up.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, speaking of being gossipy, she's like, do you want to know the tea about Bryce?
Yeah. Like,
I love
surely
that. She's like-
violates Oracle consultant confidentiality, right?
Yeah, and she just said, didn't he earlier ask if it was going to be confidential?
Yeah.
And she was like, yeah.
I love that about her, though. She's like,
Naughty
listen,
girl.
I know
Yeah,
that you've been thinking
like-
about this girl's underwear. Let me tell you.
Yeah, and let me tell you what. And he's like, no, it's Quinlan's business. It's Quinlan's business. He's like, nope, don't want to know. Good for him. I would be like, yes, honey.
I would be like, let me
Let's
get a pen
hear
and paper
it.
and take notes.
Yeah,
What do you got?
yeah, exactly. But Hunt is like, nope, thank you. And as he's leaving, the Oracle whispers, do yourself a favor, Orion Athalar. Keep well away from Bryce.
It's one. I love your Oracle voice too.
So good.
Like she can't help herself. He was like, no, I don't want to know my future. I don't want to know Bryce's future. And she's like, okay, but here's just one little thing.
So that's troubling.
But kind of fun.
It's fun, but yeah, it's like, ooh, dear, that doesn't seem good. So a little while later, we find Bryce and Hunt in the library of the gallery again. And Hunt, with these words ringing in his ears from the Oracle, can't stop staring at Bryce. She keeps catching him looking at her. Funny.
Mm-hmm.
Finally, she asks him, what's your deal? What's going on? And he says, were you going to tell me why the Oracle warned me to stay the hell away from you?
Because she's
And-
messy.
Yeah.
It's not Bryce's fault.
Messy AF. So then Bryce explains, we get to hear finally kind of what happened when she visited the Oracle. The Cliff's Notes is basically when Bryce was in her early teens, her mom kind of decided suddenly that she kind of wanted Bryce to maybe have more of a relationship with her biological father. And Bryce went to visit him over the summer. It's customary for the Fae for teens to go visit the Oracle at that age, so she went.
Well, specifically for the females upon their first cycle.
Oh, we have our menstruation ally. Thank you so much, Will.
Thank you. Yeah. I can't believe I omitted that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But basically they're like 13. First cycle or 13.
Right.
Okay. When Bryce went to the Oracle looked into the smoke and started screaming and cursing and clawing at her eyes. And apparently, Bryce later learns she went blind for a whole week. So It wasn't great.
Can I just say, though, I was confused by this. Okay, clearly this was something kind of big. And yet Bryce just seems to be like, oh, yeah, it just means I have no power and my life's not going to mean anything. Or she's just in denial and she doesn't know what it means. So,
yeah, I don't know.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, in a sense, it's kind of her vibe. She's like, I'm like a nobody art gallery socialite, to your earlier point, Dina.
Yeah.
Who's also the daughter of a king.
Right.
Like, even if like a sort of cast off daughter.
So her horrible father is in the little waiting room and is so displeased that he sneaks out through the side entrance for VIPs so that nobody would know it's his daughter. Leaves Bryce there.
Love that.
Yeah. When Bryce gets back to the villa on her own, she finds her bags are on the curb. Savage.
Yeah.
Savage.
Yeah. Just like quite cruel.
She is not telling Hunt that this is the Fae King, right? This is still anonymous
exactly.
Fae Lord. Okay.
Exactly. As they're chatting about all this, they've discovered this vase, this ancient vase. It's like, 15,000 years old or something. It's like a clay vase that has a depiction of the Crystallis on it. And so, I don't know, it's like a hint or whatever. Who really cares?
I cared. I highlighted the part where it says, it's like, of the Crystallis demon roaring as a sword was driven through its head by a helmeted male warrior. I'm like, that is some heavy foreshadowing happening there.
Yeah, so they got a clue. It's a clue. It's a clue, whatever.
I like that they have this discussion about, I forget which one, but one of them's just like, well, what if it's just like a fucking piece of art?
I know. I did love that.
They're like, no. Surely, I think actually it probably is real. That's a real clue. That's where we land on.
Rachel, when we are solving a murder that involves ancient beings and antiquities, I hope you pay a little bit more attention to the clues than the ones in this book.
Wow. Well, listen, I might, but you better hope that there's no hot guy
with wings
increasingly putting his hand on my knee.
I know.
And soothingly stroking my back
Yeah.
when needed. This whole episode, by the way, is a series of escalating hand on thigh, comforting hand on thigh, comforting holding of hand, comforting stroking of back.
Yeah.
And the next one. Like this is the phase we're in right now. And let me tell you, listeners, I would like to read every single time that it happens.
I know.
It's always great. I always love it. But we can't. We just can't.
It's like we'll touch barrier broken. Touch barrier broken again.
Yeah. And like, I try not to think about how the touch barrier has been broken and I like it. That's where they are.
Sorry, can I raise a potentially alarming point that we maybe just will want to ignore? But did you catch Lily talking about Danica at the end of this chapter?
I did.
I
actually highlighted it and meant to ask you guys about it.
Lily says, quote, Hunt is nice and Prince Runet's nice, but Danica was never nice to me, always biting and snarling, or she ignored me. And I couldn't tell if this was just sort of playful tongue-in-cheek. Danica was never nice to me, like she's a wolf, so was biting and snarling. Or are we meant to get a slightly, maybe Danica isn't the glowing, amazing figure that Bryce has sort of made her to be?
That's what I was getting.
Like JFK, you know.
Wow.
Is this a little revisionist history on the dead wolf front?
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Anyway, I was like,
yeah, no, I'm glad you flagged that because that is a bit of a eyebrow raiser. Not a razor to like shave your eyebrows. It like raises your eyebrow.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. We'll have to file that one away.
Yeah. Okay.
Anywho, they're off to see Briggs. They finally dug him up from whatever dungeon, torture chamber he's been in.
Yikes.
And I'm laughing, but it sucks. Anyways, let's not dwell on Briggs too much because, again, at this point, I think we all need to keep our eyes on what's important, which is all of the hand touching, thighs touching, etc.
There is so much of that. And he's like, are you going to be okay going to see him? Like, he's very attentive to her and her emotional state now.
The opposite of his fucking, let me drag you to a murder scene without your consent.
Right. Yeah. Now, Briggs asks what year it is. He didn't really know that 2 years had passed since he's been apprehended.
Ugh, rough.
It's bad, but they're talking, and he reveals that he actually liked Danica because apparently it turns out she kind of gave him a few warnings before she ultimately had to bust him.
Yeah.
But she's kind of like, you gotta knock it off with some of this because it's gonna be... To Briggs, it seemed like she was maybe a bit sympathetic to his cause or was maybe growing, like leaning towards that direction. So that rocks Bryce.
Yeah.
It's pretty startling.
Again, we're like learning very mixed and confusing things about Danica here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Although Bryce being rocked by this, I'm like, Bryce, sweetie, you need to... I feel like she just hasn't really spent a lot of time thinking about the rebels, is the sense I get. Because he says, Danica didn't agree with my methods, but maybe she agreed with the cause. And, like, the cause seems obviously correct.
Well, they all, like, pretty much agree with it. Like, there are moments where...
I don't know. Bryce is always like fucking rebels over in Pangera, yada, yada, yada. I don't know.
Yeah.
Totally, but she also will be like, oh, the Asteri and the hierarchies. There are moments she, Rune, and Hunt basically agree on all this stuff.
Yeah, she doesn't love them, but...
He insists that his sect, the Kara sect, didn't kill the pack of devils. But he says, hey, you know, if they actually managed to bomb the White Raven, good for them. But I don't know. I don't know if they did. But if they did, that's great. Hunt and Bryce basically come away from the interaction agreeing that he is not the killer that they are looking for.
Totally. Can I say that I had a little mythology moment because they're talking about the Kariz sect of the rebels. And I was like, what is that? That has to be something. And it turns out that the Kariz are goddesses of violent death in Greek mythology. So, yeah, a good name.
Love that. Great name. Okay, so our two detectives, our two little interrogators are home from their trip to see Briggs. And they're cozied up on the couch. They fired up a sunball game because, you know, Hunt wants to watch his sunball game. Cute.
He's a lad. He's a
lad. And Bryce observes the light of the screen bouncing off Hunt's cheekbones, deepening the shadow beneath his strong jaw. He truly was pretty.
I'm ready for our cleft-chinned, like, lead male character in one of these books sometime, you know.
What does it mean to have a left chin?
Cleft?
Oh.
Cleft chin? I just think it's like a non-square jawed, you know?
Is that what you mean?
Well, that's what I mean. I don't know.
I don't think. Isn't a cleft chin has a dimple in the middle or something?
Oh, maybe. Which is also hot.
Yeah, that's why I was confused.
Okay.
You're just waiting for our weak jawed king.
Yeah, a weak jawed
chin. Like the Habsburgs.
No. We don't have any time for that, you know?
I guess.
Strong jaws only.
Anyways, Hunt has been in a bad mood since the meeting with Briggs because basically he's stewing over the fact that he's not so different from Briggs. And like, is he that bad? Is he as bad as Briggs was? He's really in his head about it.
Yeah, he's not that different from Briggs.
No, he's not. I mean, Bryce asks what's wrong. And he's like, ugh. But let's pause because we need to kind of set the scene. And we're going to talk about how much he is or is not like Briggs.
Okay.
Bryce asks him what's wrong. And Hunt cut her a glare and spread a muscled arm along the back of the couch. He'd changed when they returned and now wore a soft gray t-shirt, black sweats, and a white sunball cap turned backward.
I'm so glad we're here.
We made it.
Hatgate.
We made it. Wow. So Hunt's wearing a backwards hat. I need reactions from both of you. Who would like to speak first?
Dina, go first.
Great. Remember a few episodes back when I said I wanted to see how long I could hold my grudge against Hunt for being annoying?
Yes.
It was until this moment right here, because the second he put on a backwards hat,
that does it.
I'm in.
Game over.
I'm in.
Same.
I'm done.
Absolute
I don't know
same.
what it is.
I'm so abashed and ashamed about it.
Same.
But a backwards hat gets me almost every time.
Really?
Yeah.
Especially when you have those kind of curly brown locks.
Oh my
gosh.
gosh.
Are just made for backwards hats.
Yeah.
It's the douchiest thing, but every single time I'm like, okay.
Wow.
And Will,
Smash.
I was feeling bad about it because I was like, oh my God, you really are just such a straight girl on the inside. But then I remembered that a masked lesbian with a strong jaw and a backwards hat, also done. Also done. So the backwards hat spans gender, spans the time-space continuum. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, it's sort of like the patriarchy just rules everything.
No, Will, don't ruin it. It's hot.
I think you just have to, I feel like I'm at a place now where I can just accept myself. And so it's I can both recognize that I find it incredibly attractive and that it's, highly problematic.
Wait, really?
Not actually problematic.
Oh, I was like, it's not actually. Let's just let it be hot.
It's not problematic. It's problematic adjacent. I mean, it's not problematic, but just douchey.
Yeah, it's douchey.
And it's a certain type of guy vibe. Although, as you mentioned, hot girlies can also pull it off.
Yeah.
I don't think it's doing it for me at all in real life. But for some reason, it is doing it for me here.
Oh.
Interesting.
Actually, I think what's more so doing it for me is the black sweats and the soft gray t-shirt.
I mean, yeah.
And the muscled arm spread on the back of the couch, which I don't really care about muscles either, but it is doing it. The sweats are actually really doing it for me.
I was when she mentioned the t-shirt, I was like, that is the kind of t-shirt you steal.
Absolutely.
And never give back.
Soft gray t-shirt. Amazing. Yeah.
And he has shoulder length hair. So he looks like a lax bro.
Yeah, he looks like a lax bro.
That's his vibe.
Yeah, see, I can't.
He's like lax bro, maybe tennis, because the white hat is very tennis.
No, he's too muscled to look like a tennis player.
Yeah.
It says Duke Lacrosse on the back of this hat.
It does say Duke Lacrosse on the back.
I don't know. I was going to say, I don't know why I picked that, and then I did. That's a whole other thing that we can't get into right now.
No, apparently not.
It turned out to be false. I just want to know.
Right. I was going to ask.
I just want to be clear because I'm not getting sued. Anyways, yeah. I think actually, now that you say lax bro, I think this is why I absolutely am not attracted to this at all, because that is a New England prep school. Just ugh. And you know what they used to call it?
Your flow.
A filthy flowski is what we called it.
I'm sorry. Who?
Say that
who
again.
and what?
I guess this was just my weird high school friends, but we called it a filthy flowski. It was Hockey Bros, actually. Hockey Bros kind of had
that makes
the
sense.
most iconic filthy flowskis.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But lax bros as well. And it's behind a backwards hat, that filthy flowski. Because you can't have the filthy flowski without a hat because it's probably filthy and what. But
well, it's nice that we got an episode title out of this. So.
Filthy flowski. But yeah, I do love it here. I didn't love it initially, as with most things in this book. I think it was probably on my 15th listen that I was like, okay, that's kind of hot.
Yeah, he's hot.
Also, I do want to get this off my chest and announce that I said in a previous episode that I wasn't vibing with Hunt's long hair, and I think now I am. I think I am.
That's what. Because I was going to say the stray locks of his dark hair, curled around the edges,
lock.
Yeah. I'm on board.
It's the stray locks.
Wow. I'm glad that I'm really, this is overwhelming.
And then Bryce takes a picture of him.
Oh yeah. And she snaps a picture.
Because she also thinks it's hot. So
yeah. She said stray locks of his dark hair curled around the edges. The adjustable band nearly covered the tattoo over his brow. And she had no idea why, but it was all just disgustingly distracting. Yeah. Hot. She takes a picture of him and sends it to herself because she doubts anyone would ever believe her that Hunt fucking Athalar was sitting on her couch in casual clothes, sunball hat on backwards, watching TV and drinking a beer. And he said, that's annoying, through his teeth when she takes a picture of him. And she says, so is your face, which, lol.
Honestly, some of the most realistic flirty banter of all time here. You know what I mean? You laugh, but like, you know, you've said that to somebody before.
Perhaps in my teens.
Yeah, like a youthful indiscretion.
Your face. But whatever, it's fine. It strays into the juvenile, but we'll allow it. We'll allow it. He takes a picture of her after that. And then at some point, he puts his hat on her head. And then she like swings around backwards. And she's like, I'm a cool girl. I'm wearing a guy's hat backwards.
I mean, it's just a classic move.
So, okay. But snooze. We have to stop Hatgate and go back talking about Hud's feelings.
Fine.
She says what's wrong, and he says, oh, am I like Briggs, blah, blah, blah. And she says, you know, they have a back and forth, but she says, you don't take pleasure in killing innocents. And he's like, yeah, that's true. So that's...
I continue to think they're sort of mischaracterizing Briggs, but that's neither here nor there, maybe.
I think it's a bit of they need to do that cognitive dissonance to
let him be tortured constantly off screen.
Right. And speaking of which... Hunt tells Bryce about how after his rebellion, he was kept in the Asteres dungeon for 7 years and then didn't see the light of day for 9 years.
Oh, that is rough.
Yeah, that's bad.
That's a lot of years.
But more importantly, this leads her to grab his hand, and she's surprised he doesn't pull away.
Oh.
And she hadn't realized how much bigger Hunt's hand was until hers coiled around it. Hadn't realized how many calluses lay on his palms and fingers until they rasped against her skin.
I have no calluses on my hands.
No, you're not. You're not out tilling soil. You're not doing sword practice.
And you know what? I think probably all of Briggs's torture is worth it because it brought us this moment where she grabs his hand.
A handhold. And then, you know, they're looking at spreadsheets about some shit. I don't really know. I don't really care. You know, they're doing their detective work. And as they're looking at spreadsheets, his thigh presses against her bent knee.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me, R-rated. She's trying not to think about the warmth of that thigh against her leg, the solid muscle of it.
Isn't it always, you know, the solid muscle of it?
Mm-hmm. She chews on her lip at some point, and his gaze drops to her lips, and his eyes darken, etc., etc. Flirty, back and forth. Again, wish I could read the whole thing verbatim, but we got the idea. It's cute.
Yeah, and then there was one little thing at the end, though. I guess she had his hat on, and so he takes the hat back, you know, and kind of like, give me my hat back, whatever. And then, quote, as if for good measure, he tugged the end of her braid. Isn't that weird?
No, it's cute.
I think they're play flirting. I think it's cute.
What do you mean? Why is it weird? He didn't like yank it. He just gave it a wee tug.
Is that a thing one does?
I don't think I've ever experienced someone tugging on my braid, but he just did a wee tug. He didn't yank her by the hair.
Yeah, it's one of those things where they're like, oh, how could we touch each other, but in a way that isn't weird? So the thighs are just touching because they happen to be next to each other, and he like has to take his hat back. So he's like, oh, I'll just do a little boop.
I think not literally envisioned. I think I was thinking that because her hair is so long, it was, you know, those, I don't even know in what circumstances I've seen this, but you'll have the red velvet curtains with the gold braided rope hanging down.
Sure.
And someone will pull on it. I think it's an old-timey discreet summoning of your servant or something like that. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, but that's not...
And it's like super long. That's what I was thinking.
Okay. You don't really tug on a curtain thing to get a servant. No. You're just thinking of a bell to get a servant. It's like a gold knot.
It's like a gold braided strand.
Okay.
I do think it's a bell, but you don't hear it there. You just like pull it.
Right, you're thinking of Downton Abbey, yeah.
I'm thinking of Downton Abbey.
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
And so that's what I was like, that much like pull.
Well, no, he didn't gong her head. He wasn't like, no. He just gave her a wee tug.
No, it's heterosexual mating culture, Will. It's okay. We're here to walk you through it.
Thank you.
But anywho, I think we have to leave it there with some thighs touching, some hands being held. Sad to part from these two, but we must.
But we'll be back soon. And you know what? Perhaps there's more flirting.
Yeah, we got lots of treats on the horizon, I will say, imminently.
In the meantime, our charge to you, like, try on a backwards hat.
Yeah.
Push your thigh against someone else's in like a consensual, acceptable manner. But like a flirty one, if that's the vibe.
Tug on somebody's braid.
to violently tug on someone's braid, also with permission.
And also, if you feel like it, tell a friend about the pod, tell a random stranger or multiple on the internet. We would totally appreciate that. Get the word out, and we'll catch you next time.